Gamers, let's be honest, the first wall of Elden Ring is not Margit, it's the Tree Sentinel. Before you figure out this game is open, this equestrian smacks you up to tell you game's closed, come back another day. But after hundreds of runs through this game, I'm coming back today to the original dog-faced pony soldier. And since you can grab their gear before beating a single remembrance boss, that makes this one a secret starting class. Hey everybody, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. To watch these runs live, follow us on Twitch. We're finding new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel and vote in the polls. This one beat out the Pumpkinhead, so if you like large domes, you need to get in that democracy. Finally, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and help this one ride off into the sunset. Now let's start riding. We'll kick things off as a samurai just to make gathering of the gear easier. Cowabunga into Limgrave, and there he is, the Tree Sentinel.
Oh no, I can't do that. No, I'm not doing that.
Here's the deal, gamers. You need 20 strength to carry the Halberd two-handed. There isn't a starting class that has 20 strength, so really the first thing we need for the build is proper stats. I guess if that means we have to boogie all the way to the Dragon Barrel right away, that's okay. Oh no, we had to get 30 free levels from the dragon. I'm so sad. Also, we're a lady this time because I think the Tree Sentinels are ladies. If we're following the Alberneric tradition, they are, although it's not super clear they even are Albernerics. I think that's just a theory. A game theory. All right, now we can properly throw down with the Tree Sentinel, and yeah, haven't fought one of these in a while. I'm trying to focus on stance pressure and consistent hits to build that bleed. Oh, but mostly dodging. Since we had to get our stats ready for the Halberd, we only have 25 vigor. The bar is barely any bigger. Damn, speaking of bars. Bleed helps. It just fully does. Between bleed and unsheath, the Uchi is just leaps and bounds ahead of any other weapon you could start with the game with. Maybe the broadsword with square off, but this has the stance pressure and the bleed. And now we have a golden halberd, so we gotta drop trow until we can find the armor. Thankfully, there are no required fights to get the armor, even if there are some optional ones that will make things easier. Remember, armor is not what starts a secret starting class. We only need a method of dealing damage. I make the rules here, and I say those are the rules. Just like it's a rule that you have to imagine the Tree Sentinel in Fort Height. We even use our big boy halberd to beat the Fort Knight. Then we go into Fort Faroth for the other Dectus piece and just warp out to save the death. Even though I'm not tracking deaths anymore, I changed that rule.
You can't change the rules just because you don't like how I'm doing it.
We don't have to fight Smaragd, but we can. What's the worst that could happen? We get one shot? Maybe we won't. Golden Vow on the Halberd gives us 11.5% extra damage and an extra 7.5% damage resistance buff. Even though we're suns out, buns out, we might be able to take a hit. Or, other option, because we're doing so much extra damage despite not having leveled this up at all, we might just kill Smaragd before they can hit us. This is a wonderful dragon slaying tool. It's got reach, it's relatively heavy, slightly heavier than average, at least, and it's rocking the heavy Halberd moveset, like the Knight's Cavalry Halberd, instead of those dinky ones that make you spin for your charge dart too. One complaint about the Golden Halberd, and I promise this is the only one, you can't use Golden Vow on horseback? You can cast the spell version of Golden Vow on horseback, but when you use the horse person Halberd, no Golden Vow on the horse.
I know everything sucks and this is gonna be the last time you hear me complain.
Those extra runes from Smaragd will give us just enough to buy the Somber Stones from EG and level up to +4. For the 5 and 6, we need to hit Volcano Manor, and we're just shy of 2-shotting Boggart, so he 2-shots us instead. Oh well, next attempt against him, we just outrange him. Your balls are impressive, but my shaft is longer. With that, we deliver the necklace and run up to Altus, that we may warp to Volcano Manor. Just skip all the snakes and get to the section of the town with the Somber 5 and 6. Somber weapons are so cool, you can really just crank the level up on the damage so fast. Hey, remember how I said there was a fight we could do that would make the armor easier to get? Technically there's 2, but only 4 attacks. Nerd Juice, 1 attack, 2 attack. Patches, 3 attack, 4 attack. Now we're at +6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I know how to count. Pretty nutty, huh? After participating in some capitalism, we can buy Margit's shackle from his bell bearing and get some use of it after a short run up through Altus. Good thing we have a horse, right? Down in the Ariza hero's grave, we avoid the first chariot, then break the others with the shackle. We also break ourselves, but die slow enough that we still pick up the armor. The armor that is too heavy for us to wear without more endurance. Substantially more endurance.
Too much fucking shit on me.
Abandoned Cave sucks at this level of vigor. You just sort of have to pray the jets don't hit you like you're in West Side Story. Or a second joke that I cut because the right-wing snowflakes are so sensitive. Guess what the joke was here? Clean rot time, first one takes 5 hits, but we don't have our vow up. I hereby vow. Am I right, Egon fans? Second one also takes 5 hits, but they were all R1s after the golden vow. The vow that we had time to make because we beat the first one so damn fast. Hey, we have Margit's Shackle, might as well get some use out of it, right? I hoped we could just get a stance break while he was down, but unfortunately we had to hit him like 10 times and even avoid some attacks. Not that we did avoid all the attacks. We probably should have avoided more of them. I've done this fight a lot, and like, I should know how to dodge better. Even just the chest piece of this armor is making us thick as hell. Danger path goes fine. I'm an expert at this. I'm also an expert at Godric. Roll under the axe, jump over the earthquake, hit him into the phase transition before he can hit me. Then a charge heavy to start phase 2 leads to a crit, and he's dead. I remember the first time I fought him. I was floundering against him for hours. Now he's just so fun to dunk on. Really great boss actually, because I think he's fun to flounder against when you first start, and I think he's fun to dunk on once you get good. And if you decide to watch the cutscene, Bear Witness is one of the sickest things to ever happen in any video game cutscene ever. We also get Godric's Great Rune, which should let us put the armor on, right? No, we still need a lot more levels. Okay, let's get them on the way to more upgrades. We're Porky Pigging it against the Godskin Noble, but I'm so cracked at this fight, and the armor set has weirdly high fire resistance. Phase 2 isn't skipped, but it basically is. I know exactly when we can hit the charged attacks, when we can hit the jump attacks, etc. So we don't let him move. That's some more runes, and now we can wear everything except the helmet without being in heavy load. Beat up a little slime dude on the way to the shortcut, unlock it for Rykard and for the Stone Sword Key, then find that fog wall. Down we go, almost getting grabbed by the ghoulies, but making it out with the Somber 7. Little benefit of the Golden Vow I forgot to mention, the extra defense also helps you run through non-boss sections of the game without dying. It's so good to just decide you're taking 7% less damage. More Somber Stones in the Dragon Barrow, now we're up to +9. Time for tree-on-tree violence. Putrid Avatar has wicked high holy resistance, but that doesn't matter, because this isn't really a holy weapon. It's kinda like the Crucible weapons. Sure, there's a low faith requirement and some holy damage, but that's just frosting. Crank your strength and it'll do fine with the standard. Hell, don't crank your strength, and it'll be fine. We clear the Putrid Avatar no problem, and run up to Grail and try to win within 3 minutes or less. If we stay within that time period, we keep the bonus of the Golden Pickle to get the most out of our slaughter. It's super easy. With that, we have our stats high enough to carry the armor set and the halberd without being in heavy load, and even get a little more vigor. Still not the 40 I'd like, but it's a great start. And speaking of a great start, if you're looking for the best way to start your new business, it's a website with today's sponsor, Squarespace. That's right, gamers, Squarespace is back, and it is easier than ever to make your first website. With Squarespace Blueprint, you're starting off with a professionally designed template and then getting perfect suggestions that fit your brand's identity while also looking good. You don't have to be a professional website maker. Squarespace takes care of all of that with Squarespace Blueprint. Now, I know what you're thinking. Phil, you look great today. Thank you. But you're also probably thinking, I want my customers to be able to give me money. Well, good news. Squarespace takes all kinds of payments, okay? I'm talking credit cards, Apple Pay, PayPal, even ClearPay and Afterpay if you want your customers to be able to buy now and pay later. All this is so easy and fun. We set up our website on your work computer in an afternoon, just as a little Josh to get back at those old middle managers I didn't like at my desk job. You can find out how easy it is to use Squarespace by going to squarespace.com and starting your free trial today. Then, whenever you're ready to publish your website, go to squarespace.com/tulokmango and enter offer code tulokmango at checkout for 10% off your first website or domain. Again, that's squarespace.com/tulokmango, or click the link in the description for 10% off your first purchase from Squarespace. Now, back to the video.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together.
If there's anyone who understands how much a Tree Sentinel loves running around on horses, but also how much stronger they would be without a horse, it's Radahn. Let's head in and rally the troops. Our hits sure do be hitting, but they hit too hard, so we don't get a stance break, which would have given us enough time for a phase skip. Oh well, right after he lands we finish it off and get to a nice level right after the fight. Rykard ain't shit. Only slightly different thing is we're golden vowing before we go in, then it's just your standard Serpent Hunter experience. Enjoy Press Circle Simulator in phase 2 and collect the runes. Let's go get his mom now, right? And her dog too. Doesn't that sound fun? One hit from the charged attack takes out about 70% of Puppy's HP. Then I just hit 2 R1s after that. Absurd. Renala takes 1, 2, 3 hits in phase 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4 hits in phase 2. Wow, it's almost like turning your damage up by 11% is pretty good, especially stacking multiplicatively with the Charged Attack Talisman and the Charged Attack Physic Flask. Golden Vow is so good in such an obvious way, it really baffles me that tryhards will call Spirit Ash easy mode and then say, oh yeah, I decided to take 7% less damage and deal 11% more damage. Hell, with the spell version, it's 10 and 15. Like, you are literally turning the difficulty of the game down without even changing the gameplay, which, by the way, I am fine with. But if you're golden vowing, keep your mouth shut about whatever anyone else does to make the game easier. Everyone takes their weapons off for the Mimic tier, right? Why wouldn't you? Who wants to do an NPC fight fair? This time, it's so fast, they don't even get to heal. That's pretty neat. Torches get lit, mooses get hit. This boss sucks shit. But it goes faster when you just delete the health bar. Like, look at these chunks of damage. Down in Nokron, we pick up the Tree Sentinel duo Spirit Ash. If FromSoft doesn't want us to use the Mimic tier so much, why'd they put so many gank fights that are just two of the same boss in the game?
No. He's got a point.
Carrying a manor gotta be a lot easier with the horse. Not that we can bring our horse to the Loretta fight. Oh well, still goes bad for her. Ronnie chatting up and down, going up and down the tower, yada yada yada. Incel Rivermain. I think the Tree Sentinels probably are incels, but I don't really blame them for it. Their armor weighs like 50 pounds. Probably takes 30 minutes to get off, and after that, are you still in the mood to plow? I mean, there's gotta be a butt flap though, right? They can't be unhooking all those straps and clasps every time they drop a deuce. But even if the front part unclasps, the belly part of the chest piece has got to be in the way. At the very most, they can get plowed, but I don't think they can do any plowing. Mimic is now leveled the hell up. Let's go fight the Tree Sentinel duo. These dudes drop the shield, which will matter for one fight, but it's a really important fight. Also, separating them makes them get fully bullied. Like, oh my god, this is unkind. Lake of Rot always takes forever, but it's a nice potty break for me while riding. I just let the VOD play out. I've still got time to wash my hands, come back, and still have nothing interesting happening. True story. Astel makes it hard for us to get in, but oh lord, once we do, we get in. We get in so hard that when we get the stance break, it dies. We just stop it from doing meteors. The rare Astel phase skip. Then just a quick little trip through the Weeping Peninsula for the Sacred Tears. Thought about fighting a Knight's Cavalry here, since they're kind of like the Nightman to our Dayman, but no, that fight sucks and I don't want to do it. Speaking of bosses that suck, the Valiant Gargoyles, but they suck a little less when you're an absolute tank, both offensively and defensively. We've had some glass cannons recently, but that's stupid. Why would you make a cannon out of glass? Are you Elon Musk? Build your cannon out of solid steel and hit like a cannon with the defense of a cannon. The two are not mutually exclusive in Elden Ring. In fact, having higher endurance to carry a heavier weapon often means that you have higher endurance to wear heavier armor. I literally don't see the point of lighter armor, even if you're just trying to get the blue dancer boost. At most, it's like 18%, and that is just not worth it, since you could slot other talismans that'll give you like a 10% boost. So you really only get an 8% boost, and you die faster. Fias champs all get one shot or close enough to it that they might as well be. I thought our Omen Killer did a lot of damage, or Mesmer did, but this weapon you can grab from the first boss you see after dropping into Limgrave just hits so hard that it puts everything else we've used to shame. Let's go fail our job defending the Erd Tree.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good tree.
That's an 8-year-old mashup, and God, can I just say the worst thing the copyright system of YouTube has done is stopping amazing mashup tracks. Like, that's unique enough art to qualify as fair use. I'm not a lawyer, but it's transformative assemblage, which means it's separate enough from the thing which it samples that it couldn't be viewed as a replacement for it or an alternative for it. Anyway, we beat up the Erdtree avatar and skip the Prison Town Church Grace because we don't need it. Speaking of things we don't need, I grabbed the Ritual Shield Talisman. For what? Our defenses are fine, even at 40 vigor instead of 60. I feel okay not healing back up to full. That's generally why I grabbed the Ritual Shield. Bosses in the game hit so hard in big old combos that it's more comfortable to be up at full health anyway. But with this dummy thick armor set, we're kind of fine. We go grab a pouch, but it's for the Dagger Talisman. Get more damage when we crit. Halberds have decent stance pressure, and I'm trying to land charged attacks as often as we can. Every fight has 1 or 2 crits, like the Godfrey Shade. Charge attacks and jump attacks. We get a stance break right before the end. I guess that's the only issue with the Dagger Talisman. What happens when we kill them before we get the crit? So that's another pocket. I don't really know what to put in it, and when in doubt, turtle it out.
I like turtles.
Let's take on Morgott with enhanced stamina recovery, and good lord, 3 hits pushes him into phase 2. Then 2 more hits after the transition get us a stance break. We get the crit, and we win. It's basically the same thing that happened to Godric. 4 Harris lands still don't really know what direction the campaign is going in since we're pretty far ahead of schedule. So like not a lot has happened since we recorded the last video. I just hope that someone in the campaign understands nobody likes a centrist policy, and it's honestly easier to get the right wing on board with a leftist policy if you have solid communication, because then you're actually communicating your values and ideas that are different instead of being like, well, we're gonna do what they do, but like a little bit different. For example, legalize pot. That's pretty common sense. DUIs go down, incarceration rates go down, and states have gotten more revenue from taxed weed than they know what to do with. You'll win Florida if federal legalization is part of your platform. This is coming from a guy who's never taken a toke. I'm not even a stony baloney. It's just common sense. Up to the fire giant. How many ways can I say damage good? 2-minute fire giant? Is that pretty clear? When the dude has a health bar the size of the mountain on which he stands, and we just carve through it without issue, I think that makes it pretty clear. The damage is good. And we still haven't really invested that much in our damage, just a little strength so far. Might seem bad when you need so much endurance to carry this gear, but endurance means more swings, which also means more damage. I slept on endurance for far too long, but I am here to say it is the best stat in the game other than vigor. I mean, obviously vigor is always number 1. The Godskin duel go totally fine after we clear out the first heresy meatball. The 3v1 just bullies them down so hard as they spawn in. Absolutely clowned upon. Matlaketh almost gets our goat in phase 1. Wow, I'm shocked. But phase 2 is easier. Once you've done it enough times, you realize if you hug the crotch, it just kind of whiffs you over and over again. Google Matlaketh whiffs crotch on your work computer to find out more. That one's for a specific community. Now, some of you are surely saying, hey Phil, what are you going to use Golden Retaliation on the shield? Surely it would be best against Gideon, but the shield counter beam is kind of bad. Not bad, just not nearly as good as the Halberd, because I would have to wait for Gideon to shoot at me and time it right. Is it hard to time it right? Maybe not. I never had to find out. It's very, very easy to just walk forward and poke him. Maybe Golden Retaliation would do more damage. I fucking doubt it, but maybe it would. It's just kind of an annoying thing to try and use. Maybe you like it. I'm happy for you. I like braining dudes with a Halberd. Even Horalu gets some brain from us. So fast. He died while I was talking about not using Golden Retaliation in the Gideon fight. Radahn is here to cause problems. The problem being, I fumbled the bag. Phil, why aren't you dodging the super easy to avoid stomps and the first hit of the hammer slammer?
Oh, fuck, I bopped it!
Second try. What if we simply got good? It turns out that when you don't get hit by the boss and instead you hit them, you win the game. Elden Beast tries to camera beast us right at the beginning, but I made it out and we keep the damage and the pressure up. We keep it up so high that it doesn't go for the first Elden Ring. Not the second Elden Ring. The first one.
Well, now that is some fucked up shit.
Let's see if the rest of the super bosses are as easy to beat before we leave the lands between. Niall gets the first dibs, as he so oft does. Well, I guess his soldiers do, yeah, 3 shots for each of them. Then Niall goes for the big Omega attack, super easy to punish, stance break, done. Fully cruel. We have enough strength that we won't get the benefit of the physic anymore, so we'll beat up the putrid avatar for the stamina recovery physic tier. Mix it with the turtle, that's some serious turtle power. Classy next, don't really remember why I did this 2 days ago. I think I just wanted to get it over with, because I hate this guy. Damage is stellar, but he teleports all weird and lands not in the wall. But we're fine. We actually get to the side, despite having a dinner plate shield that would have made this more bearable anyway. Of course, the one time we have a solution for the Omega Breath, we just move, and we can actually get out of the way. In the consecrated snowfield, for some reason, the Penguin Noble isn't taking a lot of damage from us. Weird. But then I realized Arcane is the stat that determines your holy resistance, so that's probably what it is. This thing's got high holy resistance from high Arcane. Now we're in Mogwin. For even Mo wins, I beat up the Sanguine Noble in the Dark Cave so we can buy some rune arcs. Who knows if we'll even need them all. Maybe we'll just beat Radahn first try.
I doubt it, but you never know.
Moog time, he starts sprinkling, but then we just break him down. I think if you get a stance break as he's counting, he just counts again. You can keep that going by sticking to his side and spamming charge attacks. Eventually we do run out of stamina, so he can start phase 2, but the pressure is still kind of there. It's a weird fight. We get the break and win. DLC is now accessible, but we're not going there until the lands between are cleared, which means yada yada yada, Carrion Study Hall, hug Fia, fight 40 snacks. This dragon ate 40 snacks, that's as many as 4 10s, and that's terrible. So let's hit those toes, beat those foes, and head to the liturgical town to climb ladders and empty bladders. And I'm all out of piss. What is that joke writing, Phil? This is recording, Phil, and I want to team up with editing Corey to defeat you. I don't know, Corey, hit Phil in the nuts next time you see him. Let's fight Loretta again. She's got a halberd and we've got a halberd. She never gets off her horse. We're not getting a horse off. I'm not sure if this is as much of a bullying session as it was with the Omen Killer, but damn, it's close. Of course, the hardest boss in the main game is still out there, the Tibia Mariner and Lernia, but also Melania, Blade of Mikola. She's a fan of the metric system. She's never known defeat. Drop the duo heal up, get in there, and our damage is not great. Yeah, she's got 40% holy resistance, which is pretty standard, but it's a bigger deal because she's constantly healing off the hits that we're putting on. She also has the Mimic tier to juice box up on. But here's the big thing. I kind of ring around the rosy on one of these waterfowl dances. Come on, let's go. 2 years of playing this game, every goddamn day I can finally dodge an attack. The Mimic does not ring around the rosy when it gets waterfowl though, and Melania heals way up. But then we start having a good time, and just kind of combo stagger her into phase 2. Delightful. Out of the onion, she does the waterfowl dance and almost gets all the way back to full health hitting the Mimic. Not delightful. I'm going for big charge attacks for stance pressure, and after a crit, we start.
Okay, John, it's time at the bar.
Oops, Mimic died, but she's out of the second onion, which means a free punish for us. Couple meaty charge attacks means only one more jump attack to break the stance. Big crit finish, nice and satisfying. It's so satisfying to finish all up in Melania's guts. Don't read too much into that, but do read into the themes of the games you're playing, because as we hit the DLC, it's time for everyone's favorite section.
I said reading is good. Can we start the story now?
Hey, there's a lot of churches in this game, huh? Churches devoted to America, a god selected by an outer god blessed with divine right. How's that going for everyone?
This is fine.
As it turns out, in Elden Ring, when you base your system of government off of a religious order, you inherently create in-groups and out-groups, and that's pretty bad, because if the in-group is in power and wants to maintain that power, like the Golden Order, they need to hold themselves lofty and persecute those on the fringes. There are so many groups that the Golden Order is dunking on. The Omens for sure stand out though, but speaking from the DLC, the main punching bags would be the Horn Scent. Oh, Phil, you've fallen for the classic blunder, because you should have realized the Horn Scent were bad first. Your woke ideology you're forcing into my game that isn't about anything at all is now crumbling. Not really, dog. The Horn Set are also a theocratic state, a smaller one than the Golden Order, but that ritualistic sacrifice of the shamans was also on the orders of a higher power. Not totally sure what the higher power is, but it's a higher power. They're trying to get the shamans to ascend to divinity. That's not to say religion is inherently evil or that it can't even do some good. America healed people. Mikola's ascent to godhood involves creating the Halleck tree for the misbegotten and the Albernerics, the latter of whom got lost and ended up working at the behest of the blood god, but hey, he set it up for him. The problem is where the purity starts demanding exclusion, something Mikola's order actually would have been better about. However, Mikola's order would have forced coercion, which, while not as forceful as America's inquisitions, would still steal the agency of the people under it. Which is interesting, because you know who still has a lot of agency in a theocratic state? The heads of that state. Have you ever noticed how often God wants people to do the things they were already planning to do? America wants revenge on the Horn Scent, and wow, so do the Two Fingers. Moog wants to burn down the Golden Order, and wow, so does the Formless Mother. Rykard meets Eiglay, same thing. Ronnie wants to be the new god, and wouldn't you know it, the Moon thinks that's a great idea. Mikola at least has the guts to be like, I'm the god who wants that, and isn't pawning it off on someone else, but still, like, wow, a lot of times these gods agree with the people who are doing things. Now, this might seem like a stretch, but I think there's some Christian symbology in this game. Look at America all T-posed up on the cross everywhere she goes. But this kind of ties into a much more reasonable interpretation of the third commandment from Exodus: don't use the name of the Lord God in vain. Common interpretation, at least from what I've seen, is that there's magical words you can accidentally say in your excitement that damn you to hell. And that seemed weird, because if you're frightened and exclaim, oh my God, is that not a prayer for safety? Like, oh my God, protect me from this roller coaster that I'm sure will crash into the ground. And if you're happy, that's a prayer of thanks. Like, Jesus, this cake is delicious. Thanks for putting it in front of me. The other interpretation that makes more sense to me would be using God as an excuse to do things God has nothing to do with. This isn't super popular in big expensive megachurches, cause like, why is God telling you to buy a jumbo jet? That's not in the Bible. Jesus never talked about judging people or trying to make people's lives worse. Dude said, forgive your neighbor, let he who is without sin cast the first stone, and Samaritans can be chill. So why are we using Christianity as justification for bigotry or judgment? That just seems a lot worse than saying, oh my God, I was startled by a loud noise. So this goes back to Elden Ring's theocratic figureheads just kind of doing the things that are convenient for them to maintain power. You're not using religion to help society, you're using religion to control society and help yourself. Even if Marika ends up being kind of a puppet of the god she's serving, she still isolated Morgott and Mohg because of the will of the fingers. There's blood being spilled in every corner of the world and unimaginable acts of cruelty that Marika kind of puts on the two fingers, when really that was Mom doing that. Did you notice? The Tarnished can't interpret the will of the fingers. You need a crone to act as an intermediary. The whole system works on a divine game of telephone, separating the individual from the god and chalking up all human suffering to, God can be funny sometimes. Ymir is such an important NPC for that reason, being the one to say, hey, maybe listening to magic fingers we can't interpret isn't the best way to decide who's in charge. Which he immediately follows up with, by the way, I should be the guy who listens to the magic fingers, because dang, people sure do love seizing power they claim was given to them by divine right. But Ymir isn't even the first person to realize the two fingers aren't the best. Goldmask is like the guy, the priest of the Golden Order, doing his little dance, wearing his little church thong and shaking those cheeks for the fingies. But as he goes deeper into the knowledge of the fingers, he starts to realize, wait,
are we the baddies?
Which causes a little schism with him and Khorne. Khorne can't digest the idea that the Golden Order could be flawed, which is strange because our bodies can't digest Khorne. That's why we poop out the little kernels. Sometimes breaking out of that dogma can be difficult, but Goldmask is considered pretty brilliant. Khorne wears a blindfold. Clerics of the game have to wear blindfolds. Super subtle symbolism. The good religious acts of Elden Ring are small, prayers said quietly for healing, health, and blessing. Evil religious acts are big, orchestrated by states and figureheads that seek violence and power. If we're bringing that back to the metaphorical equivalent of Christianity, it's also not something Jesus is into. From Matthew chapter 6, and when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray for your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what's done in secret, will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep babbling like the pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Yeah, you got Bible versed in your Elden Ring video, but I think it's interesting because it's the opposite of the American evangelical movement. Most of what Jesus was saying is entirely antithetical to the American evangelical movement, and the stuff that isn't is just like, hey, I made more fish. But even that is, because they push for policies that restrict healthcare and welfare. Anyway, Elden Ring thinks theocracy is bad. So if you like Elden Ring, maybe ponder that before you do a Project 2025. Maybe don't use your religion as an excuse to discriminate against other people or make them feel unloved. That might be the issue with taking the Lord's name in vain. Anyway, here's the bosses we fought for Scatter Tree fragments. Hippo! I tried to fight the Hippo too fast, and its damage was really good against us. Our damage was really bad against it. This is a boss with big splashy hitboxes that can seem a little sus. Just gotta go to the other Scattoos first. We come back a few Shadows higher, and it goes much better. The game is easier when you do more damage, and the bosses don't do as much damage to you. And now weather. It's hot. Ancient Dragon Man, more like I'm dragging this man to the gates of hell at the end of my halberd. Yeah, it's not even close to an issue. At the bottom of the Dank-like catacombs, we fight Jori Elder, I hardly know her, Inquisitor, I hardly know her. Go check out the new Magic the Gathering series, Commander, I hardly know, over on Tulok the Barbarian. The Commander is summoning a lot of pals and doing really serious damage to us, but we end it with a few flasks left over. All is good. Nothing bad will ever happen to us. Unless, you know, the DLC bosses are hard or something.
Seems so easy, so easy, so easy. Ooh, so doggone easy, doggone easy.
Gaius first, because he's blocking Shadows. I guess that means this is technically part of the Shadow farm, but also, no it isn't. He's a remembrance boss. It hits really hard. Kind of clown on this guy, or more so I'd say that he isn't too hard, because he isn't too hard. He's just hard. So we die. It's rough, and that's kind of my fault, because our armor was so good, I didn't put on any defensive talismans. You really do need a Dragon Crest Great Shield for the DLC. Bosses hit really hard. When I put that talisman on, it is a night and day difference, almost as though 20% is a lot. Kick me in the face, stab me, impale me. Enough of what I did on Tuesday night. We're good in this fight as well. Just hit him and even mess up the phase 2 dive. I'm really off my rhythm here, not sure what's going on. And remember, we need to focus on dodging and just use the punish windows as healing windows until our health is okay, then use the punish windows as punish windows. 1 out of 11, done. Mesmer next, he kind of blocks off the next batch of Shadow Tree fragments, so we get in and we dunk. Okay, forgot to get Joe on, doesn't matter, we can just hit him. Holy is a super great damage type in the DLC. Gaius has negative 20% holy resistance, Mesmer has 0 in phase 1 and negative 10 in phase 2. It's their apology for the base game, I think. Our stats are also to the point where I can start leveling up Faith so we can do some better damage. All that to say, we're healthy enough that we can kind of just trade with the based serpent. Except, guess who goofed again? I didn't do Ansbach's quest. But the internet has been nice and everyone in the comments is smarter than me when they told me that he's back at the first grace. He is! Cool! Let's talk to him there, and then we'll bring him the scroll and the shadow keep. Surely this means his quest is back online, and all those nice internet commenters were right.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Final boss of the day is Romina because gathering Shadow Tea fragments takes like 2.5 hours. It's obscene. I am dog water at spacing this fight today, not totally sure why. Like I usually do fine with Gaius, I usually do fine with Romina. Today, can't do it. We also get grabbed and Romina's grab is surprisingly fast. I think this is the first time I've ever died to Romina. Damn. Well, I'm glad she got a win. But should she get 2 wins? No, come on, Phil. No, she should not. We're whiffing somehow. She has a big old insect body and we're whiffing? Third try ends up being the ticket. Go us, we're amazing. I mean, 3 attempts against a boss is fine. If you're beating bosses in 3 attempts in Elden Ring, you did great. That's 3 of 11. Ania Ilum nearly killed him. Golden Vow helps us run through here without issue. We get all the Shadow Tree fragments. Remember, religious institutions are best when they help the community and don't try to control it. Oh, and then we found out we were missing one of the Shadow Trees, which is awful. Just a huge waste of time, basically going through the entire list over again to find out the one we missed was on the top of a lake. It's a lake that comes to a point at the top. The good part. And the good part you want to find and touch is right up at the top of it. Hey folks, you find this Shadow Tree fragment, you're going to be very popular. Dancing Lion's just a joke at Shadow Tree level 20. We clown him down with a few hits, then grab our last revered Spirit Ash from behind the fight, and we missed another one. Oh well. 4 bosses down. Rilana is weaker to lightning because of the puddle, but she ain't great against Holy. And holy moly, we do a lot of damage with every hit. There's even a little reprise of having a good time, as she tries to start phase 2, getting us a stance break and a crit. The only moons you'll be having tonight are in your dreams. Midra is like the opposite of Rilana. He drops 1 sun, but also not great against Holy. Our mind is low, but so is his stance resistance. Who will break down whom? It's us, we break him down. Which is good, because he is a big beefy boy for absolutely no reason. I think it's maybe to compensate for his bad resistances, like FromSoft decided they couldn't give the nudist high armor factor, so they just made him an HP tank. Like Wigglytuff. He does get us a little mad, but as he does, the Mimic takes aggro, so we can swap up and heal up, then vow up, and hit a little bit more. 6 of 11 down. We're not rushing through this. This is just how fast these bosses go. Jump on down to Coffin Town. It's the Putrescent Knight, who is weak to Holy. It's another one. Don't get me wrong, the Halberd still does mostly physical damage, and the Holy is just frosting. But if you eat a dairy-based frosting and you're lactose intolerant, you're gonna shit. And we mashed the Putrescent Knight into shit. Now we can run through the fingers and, skip. Yeah, skip. Oh, wait. We pick up the golden braid in the shaman village. And our shield glows a little bit.
Is that it?
Yeah, Chow was hyping this up like I was going to fire a Death Star laser. Doesn't even look like we slapped gamer lights on it. Down in a hole, Anna gets a pole arm. She gets pole-armed. It works great. Metter has a whopping 40 holy resistance.
Oh no. Anyway.
You just kind of hit her. And sometimes we get hit, but I've taken to be a little more patient with this fight after getting clowned on when we were Mesmer. And yeah, it was fine. She didn't even get to do the big orbital laser. It was that fast. Now, if any boss is going to be a problem for the Holy Soldier, surely it's the Shadow Tree Avatar. A big holy monster that just gets washed by the headshots and then blows up too hard in phase 3, gets sleepy, blows up again, and dies. Radahn and Bale are the only bosses left, but y'all know Radahn can take the time of an entire run, so pucker your butts, except I have a strategy. We take down the fire golem in the graveside plane and get the Sikro blocking physic tier.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later. But
first, we have to fight Letta and her champs, and once she stops yapping, hey, why is the summon nuttin'? Why is there nuttin' on the ground? Did Ansbach leave nuttin' on the ground? I gave him the scroll. Why is he not here? I showed you my scroll. Answer me. So, okay, I guess we just gotta beat Radahn without him. Go open here, but I've seen a lot of sentiment that he's a lateral move, giving Radahn more health, and he's worse. I disagree. Distractions are so valuable, but whatever. We'll use a different strategy, grabbing the curved sword talisman from Stormveil to boost our damage with guard counters. Now it's time to hit Radahn with the Sekiro-style combat, kind of. If you've been living under under a rock for the past 2 months, first of all, congratulations. I love watching all the little bugs crawl away when I pick your house up. But also, the deflecting hard tier makes it so that if you raise your guard right before an attack hits you, you get a huge guard boost and reduce the stamina and health damage of the attack that is hitting you. It also boosts your guard counters by a percentage for each perfect guard you land, getting it up to pretty absurd levels. Let's try it. Radahn doesn't seem that aggressive, so we bring the Mimic out right away, then back up as he's attacking so we can vow and start feathering that block for nice, meaty guard counter hits. He hits the meteors on the Mimic and drills us. I've gotten so much more insight into the moveset somehow, almost as though I've spent probably 15 hours dying to this guy. We're in phase 2. Blocking the big nuke is also a great option, and the Erdtree Great Shield is particularly good at it. Believe it or not, the Holy Man Shield blocks the holy damage. We get a nice stance break, and that crit gets him to jump. Flasks are looking good. Mimic isn't technically dead yet. Ratty goes for the grabby, that's a free bit of damage, but then it's meteor time and myriad time. Unlike Mesmer though, this build is cheeked up enough to survive. Problem with the deflecting tier is that if you mess up your guard, you do get hurt. But then he goes for the tossed swords and scrambled eggs, and we get out of the way. Land a charged attack for my very first try win against Radahn. Tree Sentinel S tier, sorry, spoilers for the tier list perverts, but unless this build somehow makes Bale come through the computer screen and bad dragon me to death, this is S tier. Jagged Peak Drake just gets their toes tapped like they heard someone blast a trombone at the club. Egon asks us to pull his finger, and then it's Bale time. Real Bale hours. Smash that like button if you're a real Bale head. Get Egon in here, get the Mimic in here, get hit by a weird bit of the breath. Okay, maybe the hitboxes aren't perfect. Roll through that big jump and go absolutely nutty on the damage with a full charged attack. I'm trying to put the pressure on so we can maybe get a phase 2 skip after the stance break. Greedy, I know, but Bale brings out the best in me. He makes me want to be better. The big crit is nice, and we get a couple charged R2s off on the head as he starts the phase transition where we get punished with fireballs from the sky. But big brain play. That puts me on my ass with iframes for the big nuke landing. Sometimes my mind blows my mind. One last jump attack to the tail will do it. We beat this run in under 9 hours, which means it was faster than the speed run. So what's good about this? Everything. Golden Vow makes the game between 7 and 11% easier. The Halberd weapon class is great. It's got good reach, deals decent pressure, and doesn't require too much stat investment to be good. Carrying a big shield is stupid if you don't plan to use it, but for some fights where you need a shield is the only thing you need. Plus, it's like a training weight, forcing you to buff your endurance, which is simply goated. More stamina lets you wear dummy thick armor and hit really hard. Remember that first Radahn run? That was also goated because we just needed the endurance to carry all the heavy shit. So, gamers, if there's a takeaway here, put the Giant Crusher in your inventory and force yourself into medium load. Thank me later. Honestly, I just feel bad for the horse that's got to carry my big ol' ass. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, subscribe for more. We're making new videos all the time. Join the Patreon if you want to support the channel. It's the best place to do it. And follow us on Twitch if you want to watch these runs live.